Reports suggest the ANC's Integrity Commission came out divided on what action party President Cyril Ramaphosa should face over the 2020 theft of foreign currency at his Phala Phala farm in Limpopo. The body believe that the incident has brought the organization into disrepute. But just yesterday, the Integrity Commission sent out a statement saying it's not released a report either to the ANC NEC or to the public. So they're saying that what media houses are reporting about has, as a draft document and a draft report, has not been sanctioned by the chairperson or deputy chairperson of that committee. Joining us now for some perspective on this is Lizeka Thandwa, who is a political reporter with the Mail and Guardian. Lizeka, thank you so much for making time for us. So if there is no draft report, as the Integrity Commission suggests, what exactly is going to be presented at the ANC NEC meeting today? Because Paul Mashatile yesterday confirmed that there is a report that will be presented before the NEC on this matter.
Well, I think what Paul Mashatile was saying, in fairness, was that he received a report from the Integrity Committee. Whether that contains Phala Phala, which is what is in question now, remains to be seen. What the Integrity Committee is talking about is specifically around Phala Phala and whether they released a report to the Secretary General's office, which Paul Mashatile currently occupies. So I think there's a misunderstanding or the information has been, there's been a very skewed way of communicating that. But in terms of the report around Phala Phala, we had spoken with Tatu George Mashamba, who is the head of the Integrity Committee. And on several occasions, he's been elusive, not really wanting to communicate or give us a response around whether, when, and if there is a draft report. We've heard rumors, we've heard murmurs that there is a draft report, and he hasn't been able to communicate with us. It would have been nice for him to, give us a clearer understanding earlier on around his position on the draft report.
Yeah, let's talk about that draft report, because it has been reported about quite extensively. The Mail and Guardian has reported about it, News 24 and other media organizations. What does it actually say about the explanation the president has given, and is there even a recommendation on what should happen?
Well, I can only speak for Mail and Guardian, obviously, as I was one of the people who wrote the story. So we had, as you know how political journalism works, we do have to, hear from different individuals within the political party leadership about a certain subject. So we knew that, we were told that there was a report that was compiled by Mr. Mashamba. And so we had to, we took time to speak to different individuals, independent sources, who also corroborated that there was a report, a draft report, which actually did say that the president should take a leave of absence. Now, because within the Integrity Committee itself, they were not really in agreement about that recommendation, there was an impasse or a deadlock, as we put it. And just as we were writing that story, we received the report, and it's a watered down report, which actually kind of gave you a perspective of where they are, how the Integrity Committee is so frustrated because it knows whatever decision it makes will impact the party very heavily, which is what we had heard initially, of course. And the Integrity Committee actually said that the factions in the ANC go so deep, they're so entrenched, they go deep to even at branch level, and whatever decision they take will be seen as, I think the actual word they used was invidious on their on their part. They also spoke about, the political arena within the NEC itself, that whatever decision they take, they don't have the trust in the NEC, that the NEC will look at this objectively and will be able to adopt or make findings that will be an objective way without looking at individual factions. So they put in an invidious position, and they can't really, fulfill their mandate. So that's been their biggest problem. In terms of the recommendations we saw on the progress report, because remember, we said there was a draft report and then there was a progress report. So it gives you an idea of the task that is within the Integrity Committee, how really frustrating the situation is and how difficult it is for them. They then said that they found that the Phala Phala incident did in fact put the party into disrepute. It brought the party into disrepute. However, they cannot determine around the president because they do not have the full information as to whether the president was party to this disrepute. They asked the president to take the NEC into its confidence and the NEC take the country to its confidence to clear up all of this confusion that seems to be centered around this Phala Phala scandal.
Yeah, but then if the president was not able to take the Integrity Commission into his, into his confidence, how is he going to do that with the NEC? And we'll talk a little bit about what he said yesterday, because he did address the matter when he gave that political overview. And what do you make, Lizeka, of how long the Integrity Commission has dealt with this matter? I mean, when we were at the policy conference, that's when we heard that the president had met with the Integrity Commission. I think probably their first meeting was around July. And to this day, they still don't have enough answers, and they're still asking the president to maybe explain himself to the NEC. What do you think is at play here?
Well, Clement, if you look at it, we were discussing this with my colleagues yesterday at Newzroom for the first day of the NEC, and I take it and I look at it from their perspective. They put in a very difficult position where whatever decision they make, it would seem it's going to be viewed in the context of factions. But also, they also have to bear in mind that whatever decision they make or whatever recommendations they take, they have a consequence not only in the ANC but in the country itself. So I can sympathize with them in that sense. So it has taken so long because of that position that they're in and because they know the factions of the ANC, and particularly at this time where the ANC is going into its elective conference. This is a very intense climate for the ANC, and they are aware of that. They are alive to that. And also they know that, there's consequences even to themselves in whatever decision that they take. Yes, it seems unfair because they have taken decisions and been firm on, particular personnels in the ANC, leaders such as Ace Magashule, leaders such as Zweli Mkhize. But I think this particular one, especially given that the president, we broke that story as the Mail and Guardian in the first day of the policy conference, that the president had met with the Integrity Committee, and in fact he didn't give any explanation. It was the same explanation he's been giving the country, the parliament, and everywhere else, that he cannot speak on this until state agencies conclude their investigation. So it's kind of difficult. It's very difficult for the elders of the ANC. And, these are people who are grounded within the ANC, who understand that office, who understand the importance of the office of the president. Yeah.
Okay, lastly, yesterday the president did address this issue in the NEC. From the sources you're speaking within, are they buying that explanation? Yes, it's still not as comprehensive as a lot of them hoped, because he's still saying, well, investigations are underway. What I can tell you is this. Do you get a sense that some of the NEC members are buying that explanation, especially those that are against him? Or do you still think there are people that are going to use that explanation to make a case for him to step aside?
Well, there was a call yet again for the president to step aside. He made his political overview, so that's how traditionally the NEC starts, with the president making his political overview. And in that political overview, he obviously has to take on different subjects that affect South Africa and affect the party itself. He spoke on geopolitics, he spoke on Triple BEE, he spoke on the economy, energy, and then finally, I think that's what everyone was waiting for in that room, he spoke about Phala Phala. I've been getting conflicting views on exactly what he spoke about, which is why I'm itching to get that political overview, that copy of that political overview. Yeah. But some people have said, even within the CRT, some people have said that he did go into more detail about Phala Phala, explaining himself, but it was the same explanations that he's given to Parliament. Yeah. There wasn't really anything new in terms of those explanations. And I think that's what rattled individuals like Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, who's contesting him for party president. Tony Yengeni obviously was the first to say that the president must step down. And we also had Thandwa Hlala. You remember her, she was in the NYTT. She was the coordinator of the NYTT of the Youth League. So she raised her voice as well, saying that the president needed to take the NEC into its confidence, and she was not satisfied with the answers that the president had given. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, because Gwede Mantashe, apparently after 10 or 15 speakers, there was Panyaza Lesufi, there was Mondli Ngugubele, there was Naledi Pandor, who spoke for the president, but Gwede Mantashe cut it short and said we'll pick up today. Right. So it's going to be interesting what happens today.
It's going to be interesting.
With Thabo Mbeki in the room.
Yeah, we'll be watching very closely what's happening at that NEC meeting. Certainly the Phala Phala scandal will be used by those against the president to push for him to step aside. But as you hear from Lizeka, there are those who support the president who say that should not even be the factor. Lizeka, Thandwa, who is with the Mail and Guardian, thank you for making time.